All right, everyone. We are back for episode 47 of Stub Love Live. And we've got Taylor Hamilton on. Let me get Taylor in. See, we got Papa Jim in the house. We got Wheelers in the house. Got 4Acre in the house. And here they come. All right.
How are you, Howard? Good to see you.
What's going on, Taylor? Good to see you. Man, we got people all rolling in tonight. Can you hear me, Taylor?
I can hear you great, Howard.
Okay, great. I see we got history and tickets. We got everyone. I see a lot of people flying in. Oh, look at people. You got fans.
Yeah, I think my wife and kids are in the other room watching this, getting a real kick out of it. So.
That's great. Good. I see we got Brandon Johnson in the house. All right. So, if everyone doesn't know Taylor, he is the Ham Fam Collection on Instagram. And Taylor puts up just some amazing cards, pieces of memorabilia, and tickets. He is a must follow on Instagram. A really good guy. I like him very much. So Taylor, tell everybody, how did you start collecting tickets? Like, what brought you into it?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up in the '80s, traditional kid, growing up collecting all the junk wax era baseball cards, but also, had a great childhood where my mom, single parent, would take me to a lot of sporting events, and I would save tickets from every sporting event I ever went to. And so I did that throughout my life. Went through college, kind of stopped collecting cards, but really rediscovered the love for cards maybe about 10, 15 years ago. And was like, God, tickets are kind of cool too. Like, there were some cards that I just didn't really find something that met my needs. So the first big ticket I picked up was a Babe Ruth called shot ticket. My kids had just been born. I love the movie The Sandlot. I was like, this is an awesome ticket. And so that kind of started the spiral into the ticket collecting again, outside of just collecting the events that I was going to.
It's funny, Taylor. I really didn't associate until you just said it, the Sandlot to the called shot ticket. But, with Ham doing the pointing, I get it. Yeah, I didn't really think about it. That's a great, I kind of just didn't put it together, but that's great.
That's how my mind works. I'm always thinking of, what are some cool moments? What are some things that have been, really impactful in my life or I think are neat? And to be able to share that with my two sons, Parker and Becker, and kind of show them about the history of baseball or basketball through tickets has just been a really cool thing to do for me.
And then, watching your IG, I'll give them a shout out. Looks like they're both pretty good athletes. And so we may be collecting their tickets one day. I don't know.
That would be cool. We got to hook up, Howard. Sign anything you want. So.
All right. So you got that called shot ticket. How many years ago? Sounds like you kind of got into this and you've been doing it longer than kind of like the average bear. And then what did you pay for that called shot ticket when you acquired it?
I remember it like it was yesterday. It was about $1,500. It came ungraded. I remember it came in like a jewelry box. So someone that definitely wasn't a true, sports memorabilia or card collector, maybe like an antique collector or something like that. Quickly sent it into PSA just because I wanted it slabbed. Came back a PSA 3, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, one of just a great grade for something that's so old, but also Babe Ruth's numbers 3. It was game 3. I've got the PSA 3 on the slab, so a little bit, continuity there with the number 3.
That's awesome. And what are we talking, money wise, and how much it cost you?
It was $1,500.
$1,500. Okay. All right. $1,500. So that's a great deal for that ticket.
Yeah, just a lot of people I don't think were focused on tickets, and I was just trying to find something in my collection. I was like, I feel like from a holistic view, I felt like I was a little short on Babe Ruth. Have an American Caramel Babe Ruth, but I didn't have something that really spoke to me, and that called shot ticket was it.
So what would you say, relatively speaking? You have cards, you have figures, then you have like general memorabilia, and when I say figures, wrestling figures and things like that, and then you have tickets. What would you say? Break it down. What's your real focus, and how much or where does tickets come into that?
Yeah, I think it's probably best to do it by sport. So, I mean, from a baseball perspective, I'm focused on a lot of vintage things, but also I made a list a while back of what I thought were like the best moments in baseball history. And so I tried to, mark things off that list. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 ones that are missing right now. Obviously the Jackie debut, the 1919 Game 1 World Series, the Lou Gehrig, the luckiest man. Those are kind of the only 3, at least from my list. You look at the top 25 baseball moments over the course of history that are missing from my collection. You go to football. Football is all about Super Bowl tickets for me. I fell in love with Super Bowl tickets. Probably the most aesthetically pleasing looking tickets out there. I'm about 70% done with the whole Super Bowl run. What I focus on is full tickets signed by the MVP of the game. And then I've got a few football cards. I haven't dabbled too much in basketball tickets. That's probably a goal that I have for this year. And then wrestling tickets. It's all about WrestleMania for me. And when it comes to WrestleMania, we talk about Super Bowl tickets, like pieces of art. You talk about WrestleMania tickets, like there's not much there. And so I've tried to kind of build out my wrestling collection, figures, things like that, programs around that. Just so if I have a display piece, it's not just, a boring Ticketmaster ticket that's sitting there, but there's something else that kind of tells the story.
Yeah. No, I get it. So when we were talking a little bit before, you said that you were a big baseball moment guy, and we kind of went through it. And some of the big ones for you are Aaron 715. Aaron breaks Ruth's record for most home runs. The Mays catch ticket, Maris 61, the Fisk. Stay fair, stay fair. Gibson's home run, which is, maybe the best moment in baseball that, modern baseball. You said some Ryan no-hitters, Kerry Wood 20 games, and the Henderson steals. So did I miss any?
No. I brought some of those and kind of, can show like what I've partnered them with. I was joking with you. Sorry to interrupt you. As an Oakland A's fan, I still call them the Oakland A's. I'll be a lifetime Oakland A's fan. Like the Kirk Gibson moment is, I was 7 years old when that happened. That's a pretty painful memory.
So for me, it's 1993 and the Joe Carter home run against my Phillies in Game 6, and I've only recently been able to bring myself to possess that ticket and even touch one. But I'm 51 now, so I kind of have to put it behind me a little bit. Someone wrote here, what about Bond 756?
Yeah, I've got that. I feel like growing up in the Bay Area when I was a kid, 89 World Series, for lack of a better term, the Oakland A's were just sexier than the San Francisco Giants in the Bay Bridge series. Like I just fell in love with Canseco and McGuire and Ricky Henderson. And the Giants had some great players too with Will the Thrill and Matt Williams and Kevin Mitchell, but I don't know. How can you beat, like the biceps, especially loving wrestling. The biceps of Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire, the Bash brothers. Like, I know Patrick Ryan always talks about going and trying to find Ricky's gloves, those neon green Mizuno gloves. And that was the team that I loved. And, even last year, I took my kids to 20 A's games to close out their last year in Oakland. So that's where my allegiance lies.
Yeah. And I watched you go into a lot of those games through your Instagram, and boy, what baseball did to the fans of Oakland. What a great town, what a great place, what a kind of great mecca for baseball, and to not have it there any longer, that just kind of stinks. What about the earthquake game? I don't know if that's one too. The World Series earthquake game. That's a big one too.
Yeah. I have that one. I think it's in one of the drawers somewhere here. But I have that one signed by Dave Stewart and inscribed Earthquake Game. I grew up in Napa, so probably about 45-minute drive outside of Oakland. I remember literally playing baseball. I just throwing the ball up and trying to hit it in the front yard before the game, and I was like, God, am I getting dizzy? Like, why are things shaking? And then I went inside and started watching the game, and before the pregame, and I was like, oh, this is what happened.
That's crazy. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the football tickets. You're kind of going down this path of full Super Bowl tickets, which is kind of hard enough on its own. But of course, Taylor, you got to make it more challenging. You want to get each and every one of them signed by the Super Bowl MVP. So first of all, I guess, what are you doing? Let's talk about it kind of more currently, and then we'll go backwards. What are you doing about Super Bowl tickets that don't exist anymore and they only have commemoratives? Are you just collecting those and trying to get the MVPs on them, or have you stopped collecting?
I'm still collecting. I'd probably say, I mean, for those that are current, I'm kind of waiting for a signing to come up before I go ahead and like just have a ticket that's unsigned. So I think, my last probably signed Super Bowl ticket was probably like Von Miller in Super Bowl 50. Might have, I'm waiting for a Nick Foles signing to come up. I missed the last one. I've got a ticket waiting for that. But you got to think, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, has a few MVPs under his belt. Might have another one here in 2 weeks, and from what I understand, he doesn't sign tickets through his deal with Fanatics. So I'm gonna have to, finagle my way somehow into to getting those signed.
Well, I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to beg and pray to God that it's Saquon Barkley that gets that MVP in a week or so, or even Jalen Hurts or AJ or any of my boys. But no way is it going to be Patrick Mahomes, Taylor. No more for that guy.
Yeah, well, hey, that'll make my job a lot easier. I think I'm going to have a lot more success getting one of those three Eagles signed on a Super Bowl commemorative ticket versus Patty Mahomes. So
yeah. I think Nick Foles is going to be in the March Philly show. So FYI, yeah, I think I saw that. So let's go backwards. So what tickets do you have of what full tickets do you have of the MVPs of the Super Bowls that are signed, and which ones are you kind of still missing?
Yeah, so I'm missing 1 through 6. So I think the first one I have is the Larry Zonka full from Super Bowl 7. Then I kind of go on a long run. I need to get my 85 Bears ticket signed. I think Richard Dent's going to be at the TriStar show, the National, so look to get it signed there. And then also, I'm missing a few Brady's. I'm missing one Joe Montana. It was the one they had here at Stanford Stadium. Just hard to find a good full from that Super Bowl game. And then, of course, his price for signing a ticket is skyrocketed in nature. I mean, I'm almost hoping that I can hold out for an already signed full ticket and probably save some money versus buy a full and then have to send it in and get it signed for, what does this be now, $1,200, $1,300 for a full? So
crazy. I mean, it really has gone berserk, and it's almost like ridiculous. I mean, I have a few tickets that I'd love to get him to sign, but I guess I had my chance. He's got such a kind of plain, benign, nothing of an autograph that I really didn't want to spend the money on it just to have him, do that little JM. But kind of in retrospect, maybe I wish I should have, or I could have. So let me ask you this: if you're unable to find the full, do you kind of place hold with a stub, or you're strictly fulls and it's got to be signed?
I'm probably strictly fulls. I know I'm going to run into, I'm thinking like, I haven't looked at the PSA Pop report, but like, is there a Bart Starr full Super Bowl 1 ticket signed out there? Like, I don't know. So there's going to become a point in time where there's going to be a little friction. I'm going to have to say, okay, do I want a full run of full Super Bowl tickets and have, 80% of them signed, or I don't want a full run of Super Bowl tickets and, 20% of them are stubs, but they're autographed. I think that's a deciding factor. But I still have a little work to do on some of the other ones I'm trying to pick up, so we're not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, and you could kind of do it both ways too, because I think that's going to be tough. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's Bart Stars out there on fulls. I just don't know how many there are. I mean, back in the day, Bart was a fairly easy autograph. It's just how many people were getting real full Super Bowl tickets signed. I don't know. Now I have seen some stubs signed, but I don't know that I've seen fulls. I know that I have a Jake Scott, who's a difficult Super Bowl MVP. He was a bit of a recluse for the 72 Dolphin team. Used to come in for the signings like very, very infrequently. So if the team would sign and the whole team would come in and they would do one of these signings every 5 years, maybe he did 2 of them in total. And then he passed away fairly young. So he's a tough one. But I don't have a full. I've told you if I had a full, I would set you up with it. But I have a stub, but I don't have a full. But that I think will probably be a tough one. Len Dawson's probably a tough one. Trying to think who else.
You got the flip side card where it's like Randy White signing at like every show out there, but to find a full Super Bowl ticket from that Super Bowl is, I think the last one sold for like 8,000. I mean, you can find the stubs every day for like less than 100, and his autographs, I think 50, 75. So you can get that one done pretty easily. But to get a full ticket is, that's a tough one for me. So
Yeah. I guess if there's anyone that's alive and there's an opportunity to get the autograph now and you can find the full Taylor, it's probably, I mean, again, price being price, you better do it. Otherwise, I think maybe you're going to have to do kind of a combination where you get a full that's unsigned and maybe a stub that's signed, because those are probably more plentiful, I would think.
yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I think that's where my OCD gets in the way, where it's like, all the PSA slabs stacked so nicely and everything.
So we've been talking now for like 15 minutes and we haven't seen a ticket. And one of the things that we got to do on Stub Love Live is we've got to see what you got. So why don't you show off a little bit, and then I've got some more questions for you, and I want to kind of talk to you a little bit more in depth into some of the other things that you're collecting, not just tickets, but how you pair tickets with other things.
Yeah, and maybe we can kind of like dovetail that conversation right now. So maybe start with wrestling. I've watched your show a bunch. Haven't seen too many wrestling collectors out there. Kind of speaks to the ugly nature of the ticket, but I mean, WrestleMania 3 right here. So cool ticket, good grade on it, 5. But like, what do I couple it with? Well, I think the first thing is who is the star of WrestleMania 3? Is Hulk Hogan. So you've got to have the Hogan rookie cards signed by Hogan. One thing I love the programs. Like, I'm excited when PSA starts creating programs. The wrestling program, I mean, this just sums up WrestleMania 3 perfectly right here. And then just kind of round out WrestleMania 3, Pontiac Silverdome. You got to have the seat back. The inscription, body slam the giant. So just a really fun piece. I've got kind of a memorabilia office here. I've got that all set up. My second favorite WrestleMania was WrestleMania 6 up in Toronto at the Sky Dome. So again, very ho-hum ticket, nothing special. Ticketmaster ticket, it's in good grade. Also pair it with the program. I mean, I think from collectible standpoint, getting some of these WrestleMania or some of these wrestling programs are just awesome. I mean, pretty cool program, speaks the whole event. But then I was like, what else can I sign it with? I don't really need like a Sky Dome seat back. So I paired it with unopened action figures. I remember going to KB Toys as a kid and seeing these on the wall. And so there's the Hulkster. And then we've got the Ultimate Warrior. You were Howard. This was it was like Ultimate Warrior had the Intercontinental title. Hulkster had the championship title. Ultimate Warrior won. So got to pair it with the full unopened belt of the Ultimate Warrior, graded by AFA. So I've got that display set up. So that's kind of, from a wrestling standpoint, like, that just excites me. It's like being able to put on WrestleMania 6 like on a Saturday morning while the kids and I are having breakfast, and my wife's at the gym, and watching that, and them being like, oh, there's the Texas Tornado and there's Legion of Doom. Pretty fun as a parent, and be able to get them into it.
That is so awesome. I have to tell you, for me as a child, WrestleMania 3 was like the biggest deal. Hulk slamming the giant was humongous. And I still, look, I'm older than you. I remember Hulk slamming the giant well before WrestleMania 3. But you kind of forget about it, and who cares about what you learned from, those original matches. You're like, oh, this is just the biggest deal. And then the Ultimate Warrior was, just phenomenal. So that stuff's great. I have to say this, Taylor. I got a new follower on Stub Love today, Alicia Hamilton. And let me tell you this. She's got a whole heck of a lot more, I guess, tolerance than Stephanie Citron, who's in the other room, because I don't know that I would have been allowed to bring home the figures and the seat back and all of that. Maybe if I hid it like low in the closet, it would be allowed, but it certainly wouldn't be permitted to come out anywhere. So good for her.
My wife's awesome. She's really supported my hobby and, really just my passion. I mean, you can see just how I would talk about, like, this stuff just excites me. Like, there's probably, every 2-3 days I'm opening a drawer, opening a closet, or looking at something in my office and being like, God, like, I just feel so blessed that I have this, and it's so cool. And I think it's like, when I'm dead and gone, like, I think the ideal thing would, for like my boys to have like a draft of just all my memorabilia. You know, they just go back and forth and remember, you know, the memories that we have, remember some of the things we've talked about in terms of the sports and things. So it is very nice that I have a wife that supports this.
You know, Taylor, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, because, you know, you have such a positive attitude about collecting, and I can kind of tell that you have a positive attitude in life, and that's probably why you're so successful. But to see the, you know, you smile, the passion, the good feelings, the goodwill that you kind of show, it kind of oozes out of you, and I see that in your posts. So to be able to kind of show you off a little bit to people who may not know you, I certainly wanted to do that because, you know, you're so good for collecting, you're so good for the hobby. So I wanted to make sure that people got a chance to know you a little better. So, you know, thanks for coming on, that's for sure. Tell me a little bit more. Talk to me a little bit more. What else do you have that's passion? What's Taylor more passionate about than what he just showed? I don't know if there's anything, but
I mean, I like kind of, you know, like you mentioned before, I am a guy who loves to get his tickets signed. And, you know, there's some tickets that you're just like, these guys just never.
Oh, I lost you there for a second.
The biggest thing, you know, didn't have a good football team last year, but the biggest thing for us is the play, 1980, the year I was born. And so got a ticket for that. And, you know, there's a few tickets out there. And I'm like, how can I differentiate this? I'm like, do I try to figure out where the guy who ran over by the trombone or who was playing the trombone is? I try to figure out where the guy who was running the ball and ran over the trombone player. But the thing that stood out the most to me was the call. You know, Joe Starkey, that voice of booming across the radio waves, talking about the play and describing it to everyone. So I'm like, where is Joe Starkey? He's got to be getting old. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like he lives in the town next to me. He's like 10 miles away. So older gentleman didn't want to, you know, just show up at his door with a ticket and be like, hey, can you sign this? So I wrote him a letter and told him, hey, I'm a big ticket collector. Like, you know, I have this ticket. I'd love to get it signed by you. And crickets for about 3-4 weeks. Left my email address, left my phone number. At work one day, get a call, a phone call. It shows up. Don't know the number. Let it go to voicemail. Listen to the voicemail right away. And it's like, as soon as it's like, Taylor, this is Joe Starkey. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's him. And he's like, I'd love to sign your ticket. Like, why don't we grab lunch? So we grabbed lunch together, got pizza together, talked for about an hour. Here's the ticket, had him inscribed Go Bears on it. He was kind enough. I mean, my kids were getting a kick out of this. And so if you go to my Instagram page, you can see the ticket. But also I recorded him just saying, you know, in his old voice, like, the band is on the field, which is talk to him was pretty cool. So that's like one thing. You know, another thing that I think, you know, you and I have talked about before, Howard, is I love just like the fun part of baseball. And one of the biggest fun parts of baseball for me are the mascots. And the Philly Fanatic, got to agree with you, Howard, best mascot in all of sports. And so there was that moment when he fought Tommy Lasorda. Like, Tommy Lasorda was not having fun that day, was not enjoying the moment. And so I was like, where's the Philly Fanatic these days? Where's Dave Raymond? And came across him on LinkedIn and just, you know, sent him a message and was like, hey, got this ticket. I always kind of say, you know, a lot of these guys are part of charities. I'm like, happy to make a donation to your charity. Like, let's make it worth your time, not just some, you know, fan. And so he sent me back. He sent my kids autograph photos. He sent me the book that he wrote all about fun. But he sent me this autograph back. And I don't know if you see it, but it's Dave Raymond. Then it has Philly Fanatic versus Tommy Lasorda. And then right here, he's done a little caricature of the Philly Fanatic. And so that's just another moment where I'm just kind of like thinking outside the box. I'm like, how do I have this item that I think is cool and try to make it even cooler? So that's where kind of I'm at. I've done the same with Ian Johnson, the Boise State running back in the Fiesta Bowl. He's a State Farm agent. Well, happens to be I'm a State Farm customer. So I hit him up and told him I'm a State Farm customer and, you know, can you sign my ticket? And he signed it. If you guys remember, at the end of the game, his girlfriend was a cheerleader and he proposed to his girlfriend. So I got the ticket here and then he inscribed on the bottom, she said yes. So I just think it's cool. Like, I try to like be like, how do I differentiate my items? And not to sell, but just, you know, how do I make them cool and, you know, get me excited about them. So
yeah, that band on the field story, I remember talking with you about it, but then also seeing it on the IG, and you know, it really doesn't get much better than that. And then of course, you know, the Philly Fanatic and sending off that ticket, you know, it's terrific. So just great stories, great memories. a way to kind of preserve your childhood memories through collecting, and then also to be able to share it with your kids. Nothing gets better than that. So, really appreciate you sharing some stuff. I try to keep these things, Taylor, to 30 minutes. I kind of want to talk to you about a couple of things, and I want to run the gauntlet with you. I see Darren Ravel joined, so it's always nice to have Darren in. Darren causing trouble always, so it's just nice when he could, set a little time aside for Stub Love Live and us ticket guys. So let's go through a couple of things. What do you think is the most underrated ticket, Taylor?
Yeah, for me, and it's kind of a broader category, but I can focus on one that I have. It's the Dream Team ticket from '92. And why I say it's a broader category is I think a lot of Olympic tickets are just so undervalued. And I don't know if it's because, it only happens, Summer Olympics every 4 years. But I mean, even last night, I picked up the 1960 Olympic Cassius Clay winning the gold medal in Rome. And this morning, another one popped up, and I made an offer on it, and it got accepted. And I was like, this is so cool. I think like the pop on those things is less than 20. And so I think those are probably the most undervalued. And here's my Dream Team ticket, and just kind of say like, I'm always trying to match it. So I'm collecting the hoop set, all autographed by the Dream Team. So of course I'm missing Jordan and I'm missing Pippen, but outside of that, I've got the whole run. So
Chuck Daly.
Yeah, I got Chuck Daly in here.
Wow,
yeah,
that's a good one. Deceased and a big name. Yeah, people are saying here. Yeah, that's great. People are saying Olympics are undervalued. So many great sport moments, and I think it's a great place for people who are just getting into tickets to be able to find a more inexpensive way to kind of start their collections. Now, the Dream Team ticket, the finals, is not an inexpensive ticket. It's actually a pretty expensive ticket. And you know what, Taylor? I agree with you. I think it's incredibly undervalued. I think, 92, so how many years out is that? We're coming up to, anniversaries of this, and, people are going to look back at that moment and just be like, wow. Yeah, see here, Josh says, the Dream Team starting lineup box set. And yeah, I know, Taylor. It really is so cool. And I know Patrick has talked a little bit about it on some IGs and things like that. The only problem is, again, Alicia versus Stephanie. That's humongous, and that's not coming into my house. So maybe yours, but not mine. But good stuff. Good stuff. So talk to me. What's probably been, maybe your luckiest find when it comes to tickets? Have you found something that, has been gold and you've paid almost nothing for it?
there probably hasn't been anything like that, Howard. I mean, I feel that most of the stuff I'm looking for, other people are looking for. There was one, and you probably have this one in your collection. It's just a fun moment. It's the Eagles, the game when they threw the snowballs at Santa Claus. I remember seeing that come up. I've got a bunch of eBay notifications. So when I wake up, my inbox is just filled with eBay notifications. And I usually, first thing once I do after I get up is I hit the treadmill. I remember seeing that one come up on an eBay notification. Went to go click the buy it now, and someone had already grabbed it. And this is 5 in the morning Pacific time, so I'm sure someone on the East Coast, Phillies fan, grabbed it. But that's one that was definitely like a needle in the haystack for me. I didn't have Santa, throw snowballs at Santa. I just had the date of the game and Eagles versus whoever they played. So that's probably the one that got away that I'm still trying to look for. So.
And what do you think, other than that one? What are the few tickets that you still covet that you'd like to put in your collection?
Yeah, I think the things that are missing from my collection that I really want to have, I don't have too much basketball. So I've got a list, and everything. I'm a corporate strategy finance guy, so I just operate in Excel all the time. So I've got multiple Excel sheets of what I'm trying to collect, where I'm at in the collection, what I'm still looking for. But I think Jordan's one of them. What are the key, if I whittle down the top 10 Jordan moments, the slam dunk competition, scoring 63, the shrug game, which is an easy one to find, the move versus the Lakers, the shot from when he was at North Carolina versus Georgetown. So I think that's one area that I'm trying to look for. And then the other one is Muhammad Ali. I mean, I think last night getting that gold medal in Rome is okay, what's next? I think some of the Golden Glove tickets are really cool, very aesthetic looking. Rumble in the Jungle, Fight of the Century, Thrilla in Manila. Those are all big ticket items that I'm gonna have to chop away at. And then from a baseball standpoint, the ones I mentioned earlier, which probably, I mean, there's not going to be any Jackie debut in the house unless the lottery is won in the Hamilton household. So.
Well, it's a great list of stuff. Your wife kind of telling us that spreadsheets are a reality in the Hamilton house. So I get it, but all good stuff. I agree with you completely. I think many of those Muhammad Ali moments are completely undervalued. I don't like to talk about it too much because then guys like you and me, we can't pick them up for what we'd like to buy them for. But really undervalued in my opinion too. So I think what you're chasing is absolutely terrific. So let's get to it, Taylor. Let's get to the gauntlet. I want to run the gauntlet with you. We kind of always start the same way, and then I have a few tapered just to you. So stub or full?
I'm going stub all the way unless it's my Super Bowl tickets, Howard. I like the fact that it's been in the arena or it's been in the stadium. It's cool that PSA grades tickets. I don't put too much of a value on, having a PSA 8 ticket versus like an authentic ticket. Like I kind of like the fact some of the older tickets that they're beat up. So stub all the way.
All right. PSA, Beckett, or no slab at all?
I go PSA. I like it just from a protection standpoint. They stack easy. The kids can handle them without any, giving dad a heart attack or anything. So PSA.
So debuts or moments? Easy one for you, Taylor, but
I'm all moments. Yeah, I like that. I do think there may be some validity to some debuts that are big that people are like, like I know Patrick always argues about the LeBron debut. Like that was an event. That was a moment in himself, but I don't know if I even have any debut tickets even in my collection.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good. PSA 10 ticket or a PSA Pop 1 ticket?
I'll go Pop 1. Like I said, grades are irrelevant to me.
Okay. Would you rather own a Ken Griffey Jr. debut or a Barry Bonds debut?
It's a good one. I'd go Griffey. I love Griffey. There's just a coolness factor about him, the shoes and everything, the kid, the nickname. Give me Griffey.
Hat on backwards. I'm sorry, I missed you. Go ahead.
His debut was against my Oakland Athletics, so it's an Oakland A's ticket as their debut, which is kind of cool to have.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't really think about that. Who was the better Bash brother, McGuire or Canseco?
I gotta go Canseco. I've met them both. Canseco, there's just something cooler about him. So.
Splash Brothers or Bash Brothers?
Oh, that's a really good one, Howard. That is good. I mean, it all goes back to my childhood, right? So I got to go Bash Brothers.
Okay. All right. Tupac or Snoop Dogg?
Ooh. I'm going Snoop. Right. I'm going Snoop.
All right. And then kind of a tough one for maybe more modern ticket collectors, but I think I know where you're going to go with this one. Better ticket, the Kirk Gibson World Series home run ticket or the Freddie Freeman World Series home run ticket?
I'll go Freddie. And I was at Game 2 of the World Series, so I missed Game 1 last year by a game. Still cool. Freddie still hit a home run in that game, but it wasn't the home run. So
yeah, that's a pretty tough ticket to find, that Freddie Freeman home run, and the few that are up on eBay right now, I'm not looking to pay, $4,000 for a pretty new ticket. But plus, I get a little nervous about these newer tickets, about whether they were really there, printed after the fact. So, if it was more $500, maybe I'd be interested. But $4,000, probably not. So I'm going to test you on your Oakland A's knowledge a little bit too, and that's how we'll kind of end. I'll help you through it because I didn't give you any clues on this. So if you blow this, Taylor, it's okay. There are 5 Oakland A's jersey numbers that are retired. Do you think you can get them?
Go Dave Stewart, Catfish Hunter, Ricky Henderson. I know Canseco and McGuire are not retired.
I'll give you a clue on one. Big A came up with the A's, but known maybe more for his home run hitting in New York as a Yankee.
Oh, Reggie Jackson. And then is the 5th one Vita Blue?
No. No, good, close. So Reggie Jackson, number 9. Ricky Henderson, number 27. Catfish Hunter, number 27. You got Dave Stewart is number 34. Also, go ahead. There's another 34 that's also retired. Relief.
Was Catfish?
What's that?
Catfish
34?
No,
Catfish was 27. Another relief pitcher. Fancy mustache.
Oh, fingers.
Raleigh Fingers. And then the final one, also mustache relief pitcher through kind of sidearm.
Eckersley.
Dennis Eckersley.
43.
43, Eckersley. So not bad, not bad. Your wife's ashamed that you didn't know it, but you know what? Those were pretty tough. I got to tell you, those were pretty tough. And you what's that?
I'm going to be on the couch tonight.
No. Too good of a guy to ever be on the couch. But you did a really nice job. So there you go. We've played the gauntlet. You've given us some insight into your collecting. We've seen figures. We've seen tickets. We've heard about your great wife, your great kids. You know, Taylor, you're the model of what I tell everyone, not just to be in collecting, but to be in life. A good guy. The only thing I haven't seen from you yet, I haven't seen you, and maybe it's just we haven't crossed paths. I haven't seen you at a national yet. So is Alicia going to let you get on over to Chicago this year?
There may be a chance. It's always, my kids do swim. They're pretty competitive swimmers, so it's always swim season, but I think it would be fun. I mean, just want to thank you, Howard. There's been a lot of people who've been influenced. I mean, Patrick, who I mentioned a few times, Darren's been great. Tom Daly, Papa Jim, is also an extremely passionate guy, and you do a great job, Howard. So I've been watching the show for a while. Honored to come on. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Taylor, you're great. I love everything about you. Thank you so much for being a guest. Episode 47 with Taylor Hamilton. We're out. Thanks so much. Appreciate having you on.
Thanks, Howard. Have a great night.
Talk to you soon.